Hello everyone, I am Jim Farrell and I would like to welcome you to EDUC 5593. This is our school finance course. As you can see here, we are on the announcements page. What I'd like to do is take about 15 minutes or so, walk you through our course, highlight some things for you, and show you the syllabus and get you acquainted with the material in the course. So we will always be entering our course on this page, the announcements page, which brings up a very important point. All the announcements I make in the course will go to your NSU email. So even though I may have emailed you from my email to your personal email or your work email, please be sure that you check your NSU email on a daily basis. If you do not, you can go in and forward that to your personal email, because everything from Blackboard will automatically go to your NSU email, and that is the way that we will communicate primarily in our course when I email announcements and so forth. Typically I send out a weekly announcement. If there's something going on in the middle of the week, I will forward that as well, so keep that in mind and please remember that. So that's the announcements page. You'll start seeing this populate each week. The first thing obviously is the Start Here page, where you have already found that you are watching this video. It tells you to do that. So here is my contact information. Please note that even though I officially have hours in Broken Arrow, this may change. I may obviously will travel to the Tahlequah campus and Muskogee campus as needed. So the main thing is, if you need to set up an appointment, I will be happy to have an appointment. If online, if I'm not in the online Zoom class, then just text me, and if I'm available I will get in there. But I've set aside Wednesday afternoons to be online. There are a few Wednesdays during the semester I know already that I will not be able to be online, so that may change. So just keep that in mind. But the best way is just to text me, and typically I try to accommodate anybody who needs to visit outside of official office hours. The rest of this just provides help, the needed technologies for our course. The NSU Blackboard Help, this is the main number you need to remember, 444-5678, and contact the IT desk and they can help you with anything regarding Blackboard. So I always recommend students to reach out to the IT desk. They're very helpful. Our syllabus, we can pull up our syllabus here real fast. A lot of this is repeated in here, but I want to hit a few things real fast. Again, there's my cell phone number. Our course goals: provide students with knowledge of state school funding formula. We'll spend about half our time dealing with that, looking at various parts of the formula, and then looking at the reason why we do the formula the way we do. You will learn that we have an equity formula, and so we're going to talk a lot about what equity means when it comes to school funding. Encourage students to become aware of probable future trends in school funding. Provide students with knowledge of bonds. That'll be another 0.25% of our class. We will spend on bonds. And then finally, provide students with the opportunity to understand equity issues in school finance. We will reach these goals through these learning outcomes. Students will be able to articulate how the state funding formula works, is calculated, and incorporates equity into it. Explain how student and grade weights figure into state funding. That's primarily the principal role, as we will see. Explain how different sources of funds have an impact on the school district's financial status. Articulate the process used to determine bonding capacity of the school district. And then finally, explain the process used to determine taxes for any given bond within a school district. So those are the main things that we're going to learn in our course. The rest of this you can look through. I'm not going to go through all of it with you. I will say we do have a textbook for this course, Financing Education in the Climate of Change. The best way to get the textbook is to go to Amazon and rent it. And let me show you what that looks like. So here is our textbook, Financing Education in the Climate of Change. It's very expensive to purchase. I have purchased graduate books for that much, but excuse me, unless you are going to be a superintendent or something like that, then my recommendation is to look at the e-text and work on renting the book. Okay, you will have weekly quizzes on it in the module, so this is going to be the best way for you to get the book. Okay, so back to the syllabus here. Attendance. The main way we keep attendance in class is through completing projects on time. We do have a couple of projects at the very beginning of the course that I'll show you that I need you to complete early. Other than that, everything else is going to be due by the due date. Our course is worth 103 points. We have 3 bonus points, not 5. And those points, as you can see, the school funding formula, this is how the points break down. The bond issue is worth 10, the purchase order project is worth 2.5, a budget project. We have 2 exams that cover information from the text. You do have 2 opportunities this first week to get bonus, and that will get you 3 points, and then the weekly quizzes will total up to 103 points or 100 points total without the bonus. Incompletes. There are a few things that require incompletes in the course. Number 1, you have to have at least 3/4 of the work done. Number 2, while officially you have a year to complete it, typically I don't give that. Typically my timeline is going to be the next semester. If we get to 3/4 of the coursework done and you're ready for an incomplete, then it will be fairly easy to get the rest of the work done. And the last thing about incompletes is that if you do ask for an incomplete, no matter what your grade is, the highest grade you will be able to receive in this course is a B, so please keep that in mind. Policies regarding text messages, phone calls, emails and so forth. If you send me something during the week, then I will most likely reach out to you within 24 hours. Otherwise, I will reach to you on Monday if it's over the weekend. Okay? Due dates. Our course is ran differently this semester than my courses in the past. Typically my courses in the past would run from Monday to Sunday, but I'm changing it this semester. So our courses, with the exception of the first and last week, will be from Wednesday to Tuesday. That gives you the weekend and a few days on each side of the weekend to work on the course, okay? To work on the material. So we will see that when we look at the calendar here in a second. And then here's the calendar. So what I like to do is also include a copy of the calendar in here so you can pull it up real quickly. So you can see the first week, January 14th to the 22nd. So this is Monday the 14th through Tuesday the 22nd. So work on the introduction. The introduction is actually worth 1 point. The quiz is worth 2 points. That's your 3 points. And then you do have a chapter 1 quiz at the end of this. Okay, so I can provide you with the first chapter of the book without violating copyright requirements. So that will give you a little time to work on renting the book and getting that book. So the next thing I want to show you is simply the learning modules. We move down here to the middle. So in the middle here, You will click on Learning Modules. They will appear each week. There will be a day overlap. I try to open on Tuesday, even though it officially begins on Wednesday. And I'll tell you what you can find in there. Okay, so if we click on week 1, then we start with what you're going to do in the week. Here is this introduction video that you're watching, the discussion board, the syllabus quiz, an introduction to chapter 1, and I provide you with the PowerPoints that I use in discussing the information. This first PowerPoint actually covers the first 3 chapters, and then there's a quiz in most weeks, okay? And then we finish each week with looking ahead to what we will cover next. So in chapter 2, you see we'll begin working with the state funding formula for 5 districts. We'll also cover chapter 2, dealing with adequately funding education. And so you'll just work through the modules each week. Again, start with the beginning here to see what you're doing. Then all the work is in the middle, and then summing it up at the end. If we go back to the learning modules, this state funding formula will actually appear in week 2, but I also keep a copy of it here for you so that you will be able to access it once the module closes. So if there are any important things in the modules that you will need, you will see them appear here under the whole learning modules, because the modules themselves will eventually close. When you do access any videos, you can click on the URL at the bottom to see full screen. Otherwise, you can just watch the video as it is. In our discussion boards, we have 2 discussion boards in the class. The first one is obviously the introductions, but I borrowed this idea from another professor, the Q&A Cafe. This is where you can simply post questions you have in general about the course. If it's something specific to you, then what you need to do is simply email me and I'll answer your question. But if it's a general question like where do I find this, or when is this due, there's no date, or sometimes the dates are confusing, if I have 2 dates that are due, ask those questions in here, and that way I can answer it for everybody. Typically what I tell people is if you have a question, then everybody else has the same question. Our online classroom, we do have some virtual classroom hours, as you saw in the syllabus. If I'm not in the class then, just text me and I'll jump in there. Otherwise, you can just click on that and I will be in there. These other tools down here, I just want to point them out to you so that you can see them. Emailing students in the class. The My Grades tool, if we look at this real fast, you can see your grades for the course, the assignments when they're listed in here, and so forth. And you will also be able to see any rubrics that we use when I add them in here. Okay. The library, I don't know that we'll use the library as much, but you do have access to the library, and then numerous other student resources as well if you need those through the university and so forth. Okay. So please feel free to reach out to any that you see on here. So with that, I look forward to our course. I always tell people that don't stress about math. You would be surprised how many times I hear people say they don't do math. You're working on a master's degree. The biggest math that you're going to be doing is some basic addition and subtraction here, and very little multiplication and division. So if you can't do that, then you probably shouldn't be in the class. So don't think that there's a lot of math in here. It's really getting an understanding of how schools are funded. Okay, so don't stress about math. So with that, I look forward to a great semester. This is one of my favorite courses to teach and to work through. So I look forward to working with you this semester.